I won't be telling you how to fill this form, but basically, we'll be talking about what are the parameters, or what are the competencies, if you can say, are we trying to gauge from this application form? Because it is not like a typical role we are hiring for, right? We are looking for candidates who can be good entrepreneurs, and also we are looking for certain other parameters, so that the philosophy with which we are running this startup accelerator program, which is to be able to help early stage founders get to the right kind of product and get to the right kind of problem which they want to solve, and scale up from there. So there are certain competencies which we're looking for in that context. So this application form, and after the application form, there are a few steps. I'll talk about that also. The intent is to actually gauge and get as much information about the candidate from this application form, right? So that is the intent. So what I'm going to do is show you the form, talk about the different aspects, competencies, as I said, which we are trying to gauge, which we are trying to test from this application form. And while I'm going through, if you have any question around that particular question, then you can raise your hand, and I'll be able to. And I also have with me Shubham. So Shubham will also be able to help you clarify any of the questions which you might have. Shubham, you're there? So he will also be there. So both of us will be able to answer the question which you might have. So let me just open the application form, and yeah. I hope you guys can see the application form, right? So apart from the basic details, which is just to make sure that we can reach out to you properly, which is email address, phone number, college, branch, etc., and LinkedIn ID, definitely helps us to understand fully the candidate. We want to know which area are you interested in, whether it is AI, gig work, or social impact, because these are the three themes which we have for this year. So if you, for example, somebody might say that I am not very sure which idea am I going to be working on, because I'm open to many, but still you can choose one which you're most passionate about, or which you think you want to do. Basically, either it is impact, or whether you want to create something in deep tech or AI, or whether you want to create something in the gig economy or the creator economy. Choose one of these, whichever is closest to what you think you are interested in, and because it will help us to ask questions and also check your compatibility as per that particular theme or that particular zone, right? Because if you say you are interested in social impact, we will ask you questions and we'll try to evaluate you from that lens, versus if you say you're interested in AI, then by default, knowledge of AI technology becomes a prerequisite for that. So that's the intent of this question. This is very important, because the second one, which is, are you willing to join this program full time? Because this is not an online program. This is an offline program. This is a 6-month in-person program based out of Gurgaon, and that is why we are taking explicit uh, approval. We are in a way telling you that this is a 6-month program where you should apply only when you are sure that you will be able to dedicate time, almost 100% and full time. So all those people who are in their second year, for example, and they will be in third year by the time, because the program starts in June. So typically they will not be able to qualify for this, right? Because the colleges most likely will not be able to give them that thing. Or if you are in a job, you have to be almost certain sure that you will be able to do this full time starting June, because this is not a sort of a training program. This is a full-fledged you're going to run your organization in that sense, right? So your commitment is very, very important in answering this question. By the way, feel free to raise your hand and ask any question if you have. Uh, there are a few hands which are already up, but I think these were for the previous one. Let me see if I can. Can you guys lower your hands, people who had raised earlier, because otherwise it will be confusing. And after this, you can raise your hand if you have any question on any of these questions. Okay. There is a question from Pratha Jain. Are you also accepting application from experienced candidates, say more than 10 years? It does not fit our archetype, if you ask me. We are mostly looking at younger people, but that doesn't mean that it will be naturally disqualified. See, the intent, you need to understand the intent behind taking freshers or people who have lesser number of work experiences. The only reason is that their how much open they are to feedback, because as I said, we are going to be working with on idea stage, right? And people who have just an idea or just about started to work on an idea. And very often what happens is we make a lot of mistakes very early in our entrepreneurship journey, and that is what we want to correct, that is what we want to stop. And it becomes very difficult for people who are because mostly what happens is over experience, over the number of years of experience, as you're talking about 10 years and all, um, you typically have this baggage, and most of us become a little less amenable to taking feedback and so on. So that's the only point. But otherwise, if you think you're open to taking feedback and you will be able to implement and take action on the feedback and the direction which we provide you, then there is nothing stopping that. You can apply even if you have 10 years of experience. Okay. Do you have a co-founder or not? This is also important, because in our experience, we have seen that typically startups work well where there are two co-founders. That's the sweet spot. Three also works at times, but two is the sweet spot. And mostly single founder companies have a lot of trouble in scaling up and multiple things, right? And there are multiple issues around that. So we prefer people who have a co-founder, and we will almost kind of make sure that we either have a co-founder, or you at least find a co-founder before we sort of launch the program, which is in June. So we will still have time for 4, 5, 6 months, in which we will also help you, and you can also in your network, in your people whom you know are able to find a co-founder. We will also help you through our cohort, right? Then the sections next is basically trying to understand the entrepreneurial instinct within you, right? Which means that, see, for us to know how good you can be as an entrepreneur, right? Some of the things are whichever area you are interested in, whichever, like, and especially for college students, they would not have worked in a lot of areas and things. So we want to see whatever you are best at, how good are you? So for example, you can say that I'm a very good coder. So we want to see how good you are in that coding skills. If you want to say that I'm a very good salesperson, we want to see, have you ever sold anything to anybody? If you want to say that I have a lot of leadership qualities, for example, so have you shown this in your college or in your uh, even at your home or wherever, right? Whichever situation, how good are you in whichever area you think you are best at? So we want to see excellence. That is one parameter. Okay, how good are you in that respect? Can you guys be on mute? Okay. Uh, then have you ever created anything from scratch? See, again, as I said, it is most likely that for most of you this is your first entrepreneurial experience, but that doesn't mean that you would not have created anything before. It can be your college project, it can be any other product which you have worked on, it can be um, a small tool which you created for anything. So we just want to see the creativity in you, that have you created anything. It can be a small non-profit organization, it can be any initiative, any project which you do, which you took, and what did you do. That is the one thing which you want to understand. What is the most jigado thing in your life, which essentially means you can use multiple terms to describe this. We thought jugado is the best word to describe. People call it agency, people call it street smartness, or anything. But in our experience, we have seen that for most of the entrepreneurs, the one differentiating factor is people who are very street smart, who have this ability to just go out and do something, even when there are no resources, even when they're stuck, but are they still able to create something out of nothing. So that is it, what we are looking at, that have you ever shown some bit of creativity in solving a problem? Have you ever shown your street smartness, your agency, to pull a rabbit out of a hat, essentially, right? So is that something which you have shown ever in your life? That is what we want to what is the minimum or maximum length of answers? So I think there is no minimum level. I think for each of this descriptive, something like a 100-word answer will be sufficient, because that, like a one paragraph or maybe two paragraph, that's it. So 100 words, 150 words should be ideal in my view. Can you share an example of a jugadu thing? Yeah. See, it can be that you are you are trying to, like, for example, in your college, you had to, um, there was something which required a lot of manual intervention, for example, and because you understood technology, you ended up creating a website for that group, or you ended up creating a small tool through which you scraped different websites and provided that information to your friends or your professor or somebody. So that means that you used your skill to generate something, to create something which otherwise would have taken a lot of time. So that is a tech jugaad. A non-tech jugaad can be that, which is what we call as hack in the corporate parlance. That if suppose um, you had to raise fund for a college event, for example, and people were just going about doing their normal stuff, but you created maybe a small video, and you put it on YouTube, and you started crowdsourcing for the college event, and and you shared it with all the parents of all the students who were there, or whatever, all the alumni, and then everybody, people started contributing 100,000 whatever rupees, and you ended up collecting a few lakh for your college festival. Anything like this, which is essentially going out of the way, using intelligence, using ideally technology, and trying to create a situation which was ideally, um, which ideally otherwise would have required a lot of manual effort, or was less than ideal, and you entered, and then you changed something out of that. Is this program open for existing NPOs or totally new entrepreneurs? It's open for both. Ideally, we are looking at new entrepreneurs, but if there is an existing organization, but thing is, we are not just only to accelerate what is already there. If you think you have an organization, but you are either stuck, or you want to pivot to a new model, or there is any value which we can add, that is the ideal position. If you are already doing a business, you are at a certain stage, you are just looking to scale up, I don't think this is the right place. There are a lot of other accelerators or VCs who can help you better. We will be ideal when you have an idea and you want to execute that, but you don't know how to go about doing that. Are you open to entrepreneurs in the ideation stage as well? Yes, of course. That is what we are looking for. Does our intervention also have to have a base in Delhi? No. Eventually, you can operate from anywhere, but as I said, during the course of the program, which is the 6 month, and maybe another 4, 5, 6 months later. So we will see how much you need to be here. So you can assume that at least for 1 year you are based out of Delhi. Eventually, you can be based out of anywhere. But because we understand that when you are ideating, when you are initiating a project and an organization, and this we have seen in our current cohort also, it does take a lot of time, and ideally it needs to be co-located so that we can help you. You can take help from us and so on. So ideally you can think between 6 months to 1 year is what ideally we're looking at you for you to be stationed out of Delhi. About your strengths, you can choose any of the two strengths which are mentioned here, because either you are a techie, or you are good with sales, or you are good with, say, communication or business understanding, or you're a hacker or whatever. You can choose any of these two, and then you have to share some instances where you demonstrated those skills. So this is very similar to the previous one where we were asking you to talk about any excellence thing, but you can say that business understanding, and you in a certain instance you showed your business understanding. Maybe you are already running a startup. Maybe if you're good in communication, you convince somebody in a certain situation, maybe your college principal or your parents, for anything. That shows your ability to communicate. Creativity, whether you have created something of this kind, whether you've written a book, or whether you have um, anything, designed a website or whatever. So that shows your creativity. Share an instance where you have demonstrated this I have covered. uh, we also want to understand about the space where you are, right? So typically, the best way to understand that is, what is the kind of organizations that inspire you and why. You want to understand how big your vision is and what is the kind of organization you're trying to build, right? So if you say I want to build a Paytm kind of organization, we will understand, okay, this is the scale, that is the technology, those are the kind of values you want to instill in your organization. Versus if you say, I want to build a urban clap kind of business, so we understand. And we also want to understand what values are you inspired by, and what are the people who inspire you. And then eventually, what is the problem area which you are passionate about. So you can say that, I'm right now not working on a product, right now not working on any startup idea, but there needs to be something which you would have thought sometime, right? It cannot be an empty slate. That is what I'm saying. It can be pre-idea, as you said, somebody was asking, but have you ever thought of any idea? Like, and it is not that we are going to judge you on this idea, whether this idea is good or bad, but generally we want to understand how deep have you thought about that idea. You can say that I want to create something for working mothers, for example, and then we will ask you, how many uh, people have you spoken to, and the answer cannot be that I've only spoken to my mom. That will show a very shallow response to this business understanding, right? Because that means you're not thought about it well enough. You're not spoken to enough number of people to have a decent understanding of that problem. And second is, how big is the problem? Like, do you have an understanding of how big this problem is already and how big this problem can become? And last question is that, if there is any other thing which we might not have covered in the previous question, this is a place for you to write that answer, which is, why are you the right fit for the program? Okay. So those are the questions. And now I see there are a few people who have raised their hand. So you can go one by one. Shamdev, Ranjan. You can unmute and speak. Or Gaurav Sood.
Hi, Shalendra.
Hi.
Yes. So I just have two small questions. So one is the section in which we have to select two options for our skills.
Hmm.
So primarily technology, I mean communication, business, all these.
Hmm.
So I mean it is only providing an option to select two, but I have a few multiple skills.
Your
That's what I
top
want to
two. Your top two. Which you think are your top two?
so they are all equivalent, most often more of an equivalent. And also, I mean, that is the reason I just wanted to put this question because I have an equivalent experience with all those
No, but
skills.
if you think hard, you will eventually come down to top two. Like hand on heart, you will know that these are the top two. It
All
is
right.
never that everything is equally distributed. I understand where you're coming from, but that is
Mhm.
where you want to force you to pick top two.
All right. The most strongest ones,
Yeah.
somewhat like this.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Gaurav? Oh, was it Gaurav only? Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Shivangi?
Hi, my question has to do with the founder thing. So, let's say somebody has been a solo entrepreneur for a year or two and has delivered results and has been successful in doing what they've been doing.
Hmm.
Would you still want them to absolutely have a co-founder? Is that a non-negotiable for you?
I won't say it's a non-negotiable. That is our going in philosophy, and this is basis our experience so far. However, that doesn't mean we don't have any entrepreneur who is a solo founder. We do have in our current cohort also. However, we have seen that eventually, when you think hard about that problem, you mostly require some complementary skill sets, and to have all those skill sets in a single person is difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's typically difficult. So, but again, it's not a rule. As I said, we can take it case by case. Our going in philosophy is that we prefer uh, almost mandate people to have a co-founder, but that doesn't mean we can't have an exception. So if you, for example, are saying that you have already done something and you're comfortable and you don't require, and we can see it case by case basis and can be fine as well.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Gaurav again, yes.
Yes. One small question. So it is exactly opposite of what Shivangi asked. So I am working on my startup from a few years, and there were two, three equity partners who were working with me and holding some minor percent of equity, and they took an exit after a year.
Right.
Now the challenge with me is that I spent a few months getting a right co-founder, and interviewed, I guess, hundreds of people, but I had to offboard someone after 2 weeks. Some were just
Yeah.
leaving, and they were really excited in starting, but now they are prioritizing their day jobs.
Right.
So here I'm in the opposite scenario that I am looking for co-founders, but I'm not sure how much time should I put in instead of, I mean, and not to just delay the building of product and getting sales. So
So
is there what? Yes, yes, please.
don't worry. I think I agree. See, even with our current founders, we are having trouble in finding the right co-founder. But don't worry. Right now, you're doing it alone. For example, if you we select you and you're part of the cohort, then we will also
Mhm,
help in recruiting and hiring the right kind of co-founder. We through in our network, we also promote it as job on LinkedIn and so on,
mhm.
and we will give our own best effort also to help you find the co-founder. But sometimes it is a chicken and egg problem, right? So sometimes you think
Mhm.
like I should just focus on the product, and because if I keep waiting for the co-founder, then it will be too late. But a lot of times, if because if you don't, you're not focusing on hiring the or getting the right co-founder, you will eventually reach a position where it is too late, as in you can't move ahead without their co-founder. So you have to balance it ideally.
Yes, that's where I require support because I've done both the activities that concentrating on hiring a co-founder and then concentrating on getting sales. So,
See,
I
that
mean,
is why that is where startup accelerators like ours help come in, right? Because we have established a network, we understand how this recruitment works and how to find people, etc. And we have people who can you can technically outsource to us to find out the co-founder. So
all right, that's
it
really great.
kind of expedite your process. I'm not saying we don't have a magic wand. We cannot create
Mhm.
a founder, but we will definitely be able to expedite your process in that sense.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. That answers my question. Thank you.
Um, Sai Baba.
Yeah, Shailen, sir, my question is like previously I had so many co-founders. I had tried to build some other idea as well. So, but the problem I'm facing with finding while finding the co-founder is people are like not willing to cater enough time, like 6 months or like 5 months to go through the co-founder trial to work out the dynamics and see how we can work together, how
Right.
to solve that kind of people problems.
See, one good answer here can also be that, for example, we will be talking to literally hundreds of potential entrepreneurs in this process. Some of you already have an idea, you are very clear that you want to do this. Some other people might not have an idea, but they're smart, they have some skill sets, we will be able to match. And what we can do is potentially do this matchmaking and ask some of the other people who do not have an idea, but we believe are good founder material, and we can help them. We can sort of do the matchmaking job, as I said, right? Tell them that these are the options which are available and they can potentially choose. And you can also, of course, you have to agree and they have to agree, but that also might happen in the process.
And another question is like generally, right? People, I mean, I have seen some of these programs like, I mean, similar program like Entrepreneur First, for example.
Yeah.
So generally, like I have seen like people who join the program and let's say they have failed startups, like they are joining the startups in the same cohort. Generally, does that occur at ACE or in that
Sorry,
program?
I didn't get the question. What is the question? They are
So
trying to multiple startups is cohorts is what you're saying?
yeah. So generally there are some programs like this only, right? From the Antler or Entrepreneur First. So I have seen like many instances, like some of the founders who join the cohort, let's say their startup has failed. So they generally I have seen that they move to some other startup in the same cohort, join it as like early team member or something. So there are like such instances that has occurred in ACE program, or is there some example for that?
Oh, no. So if you are asking an instance where such a thing has happened, the answer is no, because we are a very young organization, right? So our first cohort is running, and we are now looking for the second cohort. So we don't have enough sample set, so to say, to so for this to happen. However, in principle, I don't see that not happening. Like, that can potentially happen. For example, what your question is that, if suppose that there's a founder who is trying to build something and he is not able to scale up, and eventually gets subsumed in a different startup which is running within the same cohort. Is that the question, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see anything wrong in that, honestly. It hasn't happened with us so far, as I said, because our founders, our entrepreneurs are still building their product, and they're yet to go to the market for fundraise and so on. So we haven't spent enough time for that use case to occur, but I don't see any problem in that also.
Okay, and this will in the program this will like minimum of 6 lakhs capital is provided, and
Yeah.
like in which instance like the capital will be more given, like it is like if we have still some kind of work to do before the raising the VC funding, or generally how that grant will be extended.
Yeah. So see, 6 lakh is the calculation is essentially there are 6 month roughly in of the program, right? So this is 1 lakh rupee per month. That is the kind of structure. This is where 6 lakh comes from. It doesn't come from. There is a math behind this, and additionally, the 15 lakh is will be given mostly in two tranches, and it depends upon the kind of progress and growth which the founders show, and we make it very transparent. We give them the sort of the milestones and matrix that we have to collectively. It's not you have to. It is not like an organization. It's not an employer relationship. It's like a team where we collectively take some target and say we will reach this point, which will define the first tranche, and then collectively we will define the second milestone, which will define the second tranche. So if we are moving in that direction, we give the entire tranche of 15 lakh additional. The base is 6 lakh, as you said. So total it will be 21 lakh for a 5% equity.
Okay, thanks.
Kalakriti Art School. I don't know who. Sorry, tell me your name and then you can ask the
Yeah,
question.
sorry. Hi, my name is Mantra.
Mantra. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are registered as a Section 8 company,
Okay.
and we are just in the process of registration. Like we just
Mhm.
registered. We
Mhm.
are like having our pilot like coming in the beginning of next year. So we are in the nasal stage. Yeah, but with respect to work experience, we do have like 5 years of work experience.
Okay.
Would that be a problem? A. B. Then I mean, do you want to answer and then I'll ask the next question?
So you think you are already working as an organization for the past 5 years?
No, not the organization. Individually, our work
Yeah.
experience.
Individually it doesn't matter. Individually it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next thing is, would there be a focus more on the design of the idea itself, or like there'll be more focus on the organizational structure and how to like sustain and scale? Like, what do you
Uh,
think we'll focus on?
so I would. Shubham, are you there? Do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, I can. So, can you please like rephrase, like clarify the question for me? Here, you're asking whether the focus would be on the founder or the organization. Is that the question?
The design or the structure of the organization, like how do we scale, like what kind of people to hire, like how to budget, all of
Yeah.
that, or focusing on the idea design itself?
So do we'll do the entire thing essentially with you. I mean, I mean the best way I think you can sort of think of us would be as co-founders, right? So we'll sit down
Yes.
with you, try to understand what is the problem that you're trying to solve, what is the theory of change there, and
Right.
what are the points at which you can sort of intervene in the systems so as to be able to have a long-term, sustainable, scalable impact. And then obviously then get down in the nitty-gritties with you. For example, if you're trying to hire a co-team member or a co-founder, we can sort of help you with the interviewing, or if you want a second opinion on if this is the right person, is the right fit.
Right.
So essentially, like, think of us as your co-founding team for the next 6 months,
Understood.
as you go from ideation to actually launching your pilot and doing your collecting customer feedback the first time. So yeah.
Got it. Makes
Yeah, and
sense.
I think I would add. Sorry, I forgot your name. What was your name?
Mantra.
Mantra.
Yeah.
Mantra. See, the thing is, you use the word "will I be judged upon" or something like that, right? Or evaluated on the basis of this or that.
No, it's not evaluated. It's more like which will be like where the support will be more at.
Okay, okay. If
The
you use
focal area.
support, yeah, this is
Yeah.
what I wanted to say, that we are going to support you. This is not an evaluation. Support you across, as Shubham said, both on program as well as on the organizational structure and so. And just to clarify, both for profit and non-profit, the structure ideally is in the 6 month. We follow a product development life cycle kind of approach. Of course, it doesn't work entirely in a non-profit setup, but it does to some extent. So first 2 months are largely given to ideation, and which is what you said as program, right? What is it that we are trying to solve? Who is the right TG? Which model are we trying to deploy? Does it make sense? Not? And we do a lot of brainstorming. We use a lot of frameworks to which speak to a lot of people, and finally come down to thing. And the second 2 months, like in the three, is where the development happens, which means if it is a product company, then this is where we get down to coding, we develop the product. If it is a non-profit, then we come down to actually implementing the program as right. And the next 2 months, the last 2 months will be around, and in fact, it will start in the second 2 months only, where we start thinking about the organization structure, what are the team skills which is required, how will you scale, get to the first set of customers, and so on. So it is segregated across the 6 months.
Understood. That helps. Thank you. My last question is, can we also be part of another incubator while we are at this? Because like there are two of us like co-founders. Is that something? Yeah.
Uh, I I think the answer is no, but it can, because for example, if you are a part of another incubator, if suppose you are a part of another incubator which does not require you to be there in person and does not require a lot of your involvement, then probably the answer might be yes, but I will have to confirm that. Don't take it as a yes yet. But if that requires you to be present also, then the answer is certainly no. it, because as I said, it is a dedicated 6-month program where we want 100% of your attention. But suppose if you're getting some fund or some monetary grant by associating with a different accelerator, and it doesn't come in the way, probably it might work for us.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, uh, like even as a founder, probably doing two accelerators at the same time is not the best use of your time, because you can only, get advice, 1 hour, 2 hour in a day, or whatever. If you're constantly only getting advice and not executing, then I mean, we're not basically, training you to become a consultant. You are a founder and you have an organization to run. So
Right.
I would not actually advise you to go through two accelerators. But if one of the accelerators is basically just giving you the money, as Shailen was saying, and you don't have to engage with them, much, then do it. And I think for non-profits, it's probably easier
Yeah.
to do it that way.
But I was also asking from the lens of like having a co-founder. So if the co-founder, one of the person can be at another incubator and the other person can be here, I was asking from that lens.
So even there, I think, usually you don't want to get confused, because people might give you different opinions. And usually what happens is that you try to average out the opinion. And that's the worst thing to do. For example, at Change Engine, we have some method into building an organization, and the other accelerator might have a different method, essentially. What you'll end up doing is you'll average out our opinions. So
Right.
you'll neither be here nor there. I would advise you either follow their advice or suggestions, or you follow our suggestions or advice, and that has a higher chance probably of working out.
Understood. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, thank you. That's all I had.
There is a question by Dada Saheb. If we have to be stationed in Delhi, who is responsible for taking care of accommodation? The answer is you, because it is your. We are giving you the 6 lakh, which essentially we will give you. You can take it as a, this is the seed. This is like an investment. If it is a for profit and like a grant for a non-profit, and you are expected to use that judiciously. As part of that, you can use for your own expenses, and part of that you can invest in your startup. And the follow-up question I think Shamdev had was, what kind of value you will add after 6 months? What after cohort, how to manage our further expenses? So see, the idea is with the current cohort also, we are, it's not that we cut the cord at the end of 6 months, right? We continue to engage, and we continue to, for example, we have also kind of shared the expenses on their office expenses and all. So we continue to maintain the relationship, and we make sure that we help them get to the funding round, right? And we help arrange some of these rounds, and hopefully by that time you would raise fund, and then you will be able to manage yourself. But we also help them with advice and with proper financial planning as to how should you keep a certain burn rate, so that potentially if we give all 21 lakh to you, how can you sustain yourself, your organization, for a slightly longer period by the time by the time your funding round comes. So we help you till that time, but of course beyond a point, then you as an entrepreneur will be on your own. But it is not that after 6 months we are just cutting the ties. It goes on for, and as I said, this is also our first year. So, but we are it is in our own best interest to see the company, the organization where we have invested in, do well, right? Because it is our money which is going there. So if they do well, we do well. So we will make sure that we do all whatever is possible in our on our side to see you guys successful, right? And but yeah, we can do it only till a point. There is one more hand which had gone up.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to ask you about the application process.
Yeah.
So, if there are already, like, so say if I already have a co-founder, then are we both supposed to fill out the form separately, or just one
One
of
of you can fill, and you can just mention that you have a co-founder. When we will get in touch with you for the first round, which is the telephonic round. Nurturing call is what we say. Then you can bring the other person also in that call.
All right. Okay. And even with, say, like the 6 lakh that you mentioned, that would be for like, regardless of the number of founders, that'll just be the amount that will be given
Yeah,
to.
that will be for the startup. And if there are two, then there is 50-50.
All
If you
right.
get it at a person level, yes.
Okay.
And when the program is going on, what the structure would look like? Would it be like there'll be like regular sessions that we'll have, or would it be a more like project to project thing wherein like like if we'll only be meeting with like like say the cohort rarely, but like we'll be having regular meetings with the team.
No, so the structure looks something like this, that all of the 6 to 8 founders or more, these companies will be sitting, working from the same place, same co-working space or same area. We will, as all the founders from the ACE side, from Change Engine side, we are always in touch with you. We meet almost multiple times a week, definitely 2 times a week and more. And then there is a constant interaction which goes on, right? And the structure is something like, it's a mix of some bit of theory and a lot of practical, because you're a product, you're building a product and an organization. So we give you some theoretical framework, we call a lot of mentors and people from the industry who come and speak about the concepts, and then you get to apply those in your own organization, in your own product, and be constantly, as I said, we meet 2 times a week, where we have very detailed discussions on what you are doing, and of course we are always available. It's not that we don't want to meet more, but we also want to give space to the entrepreneurs, because eventually this is their and your organization, right? We are not calling the shots in that sense, but we make sure that we are there as often as the entrepreneurs like. So that's the model, because we also understand this is a thin line, right? We cannot be too intrusive there also.
Right, right. Thank you for that. Just wanted to like get more clarity on this one.
Thanks. Vikalp?
Yeah, hey, hi. So I just wanted to understand that apart from the product or the designing part, do we have any like guidance, or will we get any mentorship in the business development or in the sales channel, or in like growing the company from the sales point of view? Like
Yes.
if there are any.
Yes. So it is not just limited to product tech. As I said, that is my expertise, but there are a lot of other people. Shubham is there, who leads the entire impact non-profit vertical. Varun himself, his experience is invaluable in terms of thinking about business, thinking about the right models, scaling organization, because he has scaled his own organization from zero to $100 million, and he does give advice to a lot of other organizations and startups also. Plus, wherever needed, we do get our mentors, our set of mentors. You can check our website; you will see the list of people who we because of our network, we have the privilege that whenever we ask them, they do come and they speak to our people one on one. They spend sometimes multiple hours, and there are people from all aspects, because we understand business, like creating an organization, is not just the product and tech, right? There are a lot of layers to this. So business wise, sales wise, operations, even HR, finance, a lot of aspects, legal. So we have people who understand each of these, and we make sure that we get the right people to the right founders, who then help them to think better and get to the right kind of solution.
Sounds good. So, like you mentioned that we would be having people from different verticals who would be there to like guide you or to mentor you
Yeah,
in the ideation stage.
yeah,
Just a very so like the grant, the amount, the monetary amount that we would be supplying, like that we would be given or that we would be offered. We
uh,
can like judicially use this in different verticals of our idea,
yes,
right?
yes.
Like
You are
it's not limited to any specific vertical, like
No, no, no.
majorly.
The money is for you, and you are the founder, so you get to decide how do you want to distribute this money. Of course, we will guide you. in how this should be done judiciously and the right way, because frugality as a concept is also very integral to how we operate. So we tell them, don't burn money on things where you can do it cheaply or in a different way, for example. So we will tell you how you use it judiciously, but eventually the decision is with you.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yes. Gaurav?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, so there's one small question. So there are a few senior people who showed interest to come on board with us as our mentors. So they are connecting with me from a few weeks or a few months. We haven't got them on board formally on paper. So if we get them on board and dilute some percent of equity, would it be a conflict to your program? Because as for now, it is just on a pro bono basis, but they are very much excited to come on board.
No,
And
it is not in conflict, as long as you as an entrepreneur are very clear of the value which the individuals are bringing to the table. You have all the right to dilute whatever equity you want, because if you genuinely believe there is value being added, feel free to do that. It is not in conflict with our model.
all right, all right. So I mean, it is simply, I mean, our individual choice if we want to simply dilute the percent, and it won't be any conflict with the program.
No,
All right. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Shalendra, I
Yeah.
thought we should just clarify to Gaurav that they should make sure they're not diluting too much, which makes it generally untenable for the company to be investable. So, if and when they are taking that decision, it should be taken very judiciously, and they should be vesting and other things. And maybe Gaurav, you can speak to us separately on
All
this
right.
one
All right.
because it's very easy to go wrong with these
I'm
decisions,
understanding.
especially in your early days.
That is the
And
reason I'm
then,
holding the decision. I mean, as for now.
yeah. So maybe, yeah, Shubham slash Surendra can do a separate call just to
Sure.
understand this in more detail.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Any questions? Ravi, I have submitted application before few days. Do I? You don't have to resubmit it. We are constantly reviewing the applications, and we are getting in touch with people one by one. So hopefully, in the next week's time, you will hear back from us, and we'll get in touch with you. Okay, I think that is it. A lot of people asked a lot of questions. Vikalp, do you have another question? Yes.
Yeah, so so actually the thing is while submitting the form, in that email column, I mentioned my company email, like instead of my personal email. I mentioned this to one of your
Okay.
teammates over LinkedIn. So
Okay.
do I need to submit it again with my personal email or is
Oh, that is fine. We will reach out to you on your official email. The
yeah,
mail should reach you. That is the whole intent, and
yeah, yeah,
we'll also call you, by the way. So
makes sense, makes sense. Cheap, thank you.
okay. All right then. I think thank you so much, guys, for joining in, and I hope for rest of the folks who have not filled the form will fill up the form, and we are most very much eager to talk to you, each one of you, in person, and understand what is the what are the problem areas which you are interested in, and you are trying to solve, and hopefully we get to work together and create some impact. Thank you so much, all of you. Have a good day. Bye bye.